Good morning, folks. This is your friend Dennis Connor coming to you with another chapter of my life. In the book I just completed, Boats with Dennis Connor, I stated that the next chapter of my life would be involved with a class boat rather than PHRF like the Nelson Merrick 43, because I wanted a boat that had a single rating and I didn't have to mess with the rule. I decided I would get a class boat like a J105 or an Etchels 22 or a PC to race, where there's no controversy involved over what the rating would be and we have to wait around forever to see the results. I decided getting a new 6-meter because I enjoyed racing the boat I borrowed from Bob Cadronell, and I enjoyed meeting the folks involved with the 6-meter, including His Majesty Juan Carlos, who was sailing a boat of his own with Ross McDonald and Pedro Campos. I enjoyed his friendship and we got to know each other well, and he invited me to Spain to race, which is where I came up with the idea using the King's designer, Javi Cela, who's from Galicia, not far from the King's Yacht Club, to design the boat. Javi built a new boat in the Bay of Cadiz in southern Spain, which I managed to acquire and send back to the United States for my use to tune up for the 2025 World Championships, which will be held at the Swanica Yacht Club in western Long Island Sound. I spent a fair amount of time with the logistics in getting the boat delivered from Galicia to San Diego. It seemed like it took forever, but in reality, the ship voyage only took 3 weeks. So I was pretty excited to hear that the boat has just arrived in Long Beach and will be sent to the Safe Harbor Marina on Shelter Island, where my friend Reeves Potts and Catherine Bruchette and Trip Kerr is the managing director. I was very anxious to hear when the boat would be shipped in a 40-foot container to Trip's yard next to Kohler's on Shelter Island Drive. There she was, coming down Shelter Island Drive on a brand new looking trailer. The truck was also very good. I was anxious to see the boat arrive, driving my black Lexus into the yard, which got me into a bit of trouble with Trip Kerr and the yard workers. I was excited to see the truck driver using a set of wire cutters to break the seal on the truck, open the doors, and let us have a look inside of our new 32-foot long 6-meter and the new design that she entailed. Wow, there she is. It looks like there's a lot of stuff in this container. It's going to take forever to unload, and it's Friday afternoon. How will they ever get this done? But somehow they managed to get the slings from the travel lift over to the boat. That's a picture of Javi and Enrique figuring out how to unload that, along with Trip Kerr, the manager of the yard, and the truck driver. The first thing we did was we got a forklift to unload all the sails, the batteries, the rigging, the boom, the mast, which by the way did not fit into the 40-foot container, and we had to cut 6 feet off the bottom to make it all work. The guys were very patient but anxious to go home, so it did not take too long to unload the pallet full of gear, including the rigging, the mast. Here's Enrique working his fanny off, unloading the mast with Trip Kerr. And here we are, putting the mast on the dolly so that Javi and Luis could start rigging the boat. The next big project was to get the boat out of the 40-foot container. It was stuffed in there pretty tightly with the boom and the mast. The spinnaker pole was in a tube along with the boom. Wow, all of a sudden, there is the boat emerging. I was pretty nervous at this point because it looked like the boat was going to hit the side of the container and scratch our new toy. But they did a miraculous job using the forklift, getting the travel lift slings under the dolly to help support the back of the boat as it came out of the 40-foot container. There's Barbara Thomas, my neighbor and friend. The boat workers hooking the travel lift up under the back end of the dolly. You can see them taking the load. And you can see that the dolly is coming up. The load is going on to the travel lift. And they slowly, I was pretty nervous. Please don't scratch this boat. And there she is, coming out. Once they got her started, she came out quite easily. So I was anxious to get the boat in the water and get her sailing. One idea I have is to get a sponsor from Mississippi. It sounds funny, but one of my biggest backers at the America's Cup in New Zealand was a lawyer by the name of Dick Scruggs, who is now a professor at the University of Mississippi, teaching law. And he loves the Old Miss name, and he loves the Old Miss football teams. And I was thinking that if I could put Old Miss on the spinnaker, I'm not allowed to put it on the side of the boat under the rules of the 6 meter. That if I could put Old Miss on the spinnaker, and I could put Old Miss on the side of our truck towing the boat to New York, that Dickie might consider being one of our sponsors to help pay for the expenses involved in sailing this boat in the Worlds. So that's it for now. There's Javi sculling the boat next to the tender and out of the yard. So our next shot will be us pulling the boat out of the water at the San Diego Yacht Club using their hoist that they use for the Etchels, giving the boat a wash, and putting the mast in, wondering if the halyard lock will work, and taking her for our initial sail. So that's it for now. This is your friend Dennis Connor saying goodbye, and hoping you enjoy the conquest of our effort to win our 29th World Championship. Thank you very much.